worst. The chairwoman of the Time's Up Legal Defense Fund for sexual harassment victims was just forced to resign in disgrace after actually working with Andrew Cuomo to smear apparently one of the accusers. Well, we'll tell you the reports that are out there. Governor Cuomo himself is, of course, refusing to resign, and now legal charges and impeachment are well on its way. Coming up, a lot more on this. But first, we want to wish a very happy birthday to Barack Obama. Apparently, my invitation got lost in the mail because of COVID-19 concerns. Well, supposedly his birthday bash was going to be scaled back from over 700 guests to what's estimated now to be only around 300 to 500 of his close and personal friends and family. All famous people. I'm famous a little bit, kinda, sorta. He used to talk about me a lot. Anyway, the so-called scaled-back mini super spreader party was so large that it did cause a major traffic jam on the ever-prestigious Martha's Vineyard near Obama's 30-acre mansion. One local officer reportedly, said about it, kind of called it the traffic an Adam Schiff show. Inside the party, hundreds of guests, including dozens of major celebrities. They were treated to live music, gourmet food, an open bar, not a mask in sight, no social distancing. Delta variants be damned was the theme of the night, of course, on top of the birthday. Now, here's Obama. He's rocking it on the dance floor again. No social distancing that I'm seeing, no masks that I see. Look at your screen. Martha's Vineyard is classified as a COVID-19 hotspot. Now, the CDC, I know they change their mind every second of every minute of every hour of every day, but they say all Americans in these hotspots must avoid large gatherings, wear masks, remain socially distant. But apparently those mandates don't apply to Obama and his celebrity rich friends. According to one New York Times reporter, Obama should get a free pass for his birthday blowout because his guests, they're very sophisticated. What, unlike us, dear redeemable, smelly Walmart shoppers? I'm a proud Walmart shopper. Take a look.
Other people said, this is really being overblown. They're following all the safety precautions. People are going to sporting events that are bigger than this. This is going to be safe. This is a sophisticated, vaccinated crowd, and this is just about optics. It's not about safety.
I'm sure they would have said the same thing about a Trump party, right? Always remember, according to the left, the mandates, that's for we the little people, the ones that cling to God, our Father, the Creator, our guns, our Bibles, our religion, but not Obama and not his sophisticated friends at Martha's Vineyard. The hypocrisy was so bad, even one MSDNC socialist host was apparently left baffled. Why are they surprised? Take a look.
What happened here? Because it does seem a bit unbecoming or out of step with what is happening in the country with the Delta variant. Very high-level Democrats, folks in the White House even, were pretty upset about this. It's sending a terrible message that the party doesn't need right now, for sure.
Now, the CDC did say last week, in spite of what they told all of you many, many times before, that, the vaccine no longer prevents people from contracting COVID. I know personally, because I have friends of mine fully vaccinated that contracted COVID. And apparently not everyone is concerned with Obama's massive blowout party. As a matter of fact, the great Dr. Anthony Flip-Flop Fauci hasn't said a word about it. In fact, Fauci didn't even express concern over last week's 400,000 person music festival in Chicago. That was actually attended by that ever-genius mayor that they have there, Lori Lightweight. And, of course, we have Fauci saying nothing about the real ongoing super spreader event of all super spreader events at our southern border, and that is now over 1 million illegal immigrants pouring across the border. Nobody's enforcing the law, where basically it's no longer catch and release. It's process release, all of them not even checked, or most not checked, none are vaccinated, and that includes thousands upon thousands of illegal immigrants infected with COVID dispersed all over the country by the Biden administration after they spent a lot of time in Biden's overcrowded cages that we've been showing you, well, they're not chain link fence like the old cages that Biden and Obama built, but they are plastic cages, and they're overcrowded. And guess what? It's in the middle of a pandemic, and nobody's testing for COVID. Dr. Fauci, not a word, not a peep, not anything to say about the crisis at our border. Dr. Fauci, calling Dr. Fauci, stat, where are you? All right, instead, he's focused on outdoor, the Sturgis motorcycle rally in South Dakota. Of course, they're probably Republicans there. We got to go after them. Forget the super spreader party in Martha's Vineyard. Forget about the super spreader of all super spreaders at the border. Let's go after the motorcycle riders in South Dakota. About the million-person music festival, Dr. Fauci, nothing at all. Nothing to say about the birthday party. Nothing to say about, let's see the largest influx of illegal immigrants in the middle of a pandemic with a high rate of COVID positivity on our southern border. But you go on national TV, laying out all the panic about an outdoor motorcycle rally in South Dakota. Okay, Dr. Fauci, I gave you the benefit of the doubt for a long time. You're turning out to be political, dishonest, unethical, and frankly, just a Democratic hack. Now, he obviously is not following the science. Instead, he's using that as a shield, but only whenever he faces legitimate criticism. If you criticize me, you're criticizing science, he said. For example, look at face masks. Remember Dr. Fauci, March of last year? Face masks don't work. They might stop one itsy-bitsy droplet. That's it. They don't work. And he held every single position possible, every opinion possible. But according to the great Dr. Fauci, he can't be criticized. He is the science. Wow, pretty arrogant. He went from no masks, they don't work, to one mask. Well, if one mask works, maybe we should wear two masks, then mask while you're jogging, then no masks outside, to mask for unvaccinated. If you either vax or mask, then it's max, vax, and mask. Can you keep up? I can't. Now we're back to masks indoors for everybody, vaccinated or not vaccinated. That makes sense? No, it shouldn't either. And he also wants children to be masked at school at all times, but don't ask them to present any scientific data to back up that demand. Take a look.
We would feel very badly if we all of a sudden said, okay, kids, don't wear masks. And then you find out retrospectively that this virus, in a very, very strange and unusual way, is really hitting kids really hard. That's the thing. Nobody feels comfortable at all about having children be put in a situation where it might ultimately, the way some people study, have some impact on them. But hopefully this will be a temporary thing, temporary enough that it doesn't have any lasting negative impact on them.
All right, did you catch all that? Because now Dr. Flip-Flop Fauci is saying, hopefully, the word hopefully, key word here, masks won't have a lasting impact on your children. Hopefully. How's that following the science? Remember last week, the NIH director said, you parents need to wear your masks at home in front of your children. Now, in addition to mask mandates and vaccine mandates, Fauci approved that as well. It's popping up now all across the country. Forget about any medical privacy. I think I'm like the only one on television talking about it, or doctor-patient confidentiality, or making your own decisions based on your unique medical history, your current medical condition, the advice of your doctor in the privacy of his office with you. Now there are new vaccine mandates for the U.S. military. What if somebody says no? What if they have a rare condition where they can't get a vaccine? What if they had COVID-19 and they're following the science of the ever-prestigious Cleveland Clinic that says if you got COVID, you don't need any vaccination? Along with vaccine mandates for government contractors and vaccine passports in cities like New York and now California. And one major teachers union now pushing for a vaccine mandate for all teachers. Mandate after mandate after mandate after mandate. Now one senator, thankfully, is fighting back with a bill to ban many of the mandates. Here with more, Texas Senator Ted Cruz. Senator, I'll say it quickly. I've said it often. I've seen the worst of this. I know people right now who have loved ones on ventilators. I've seen people die. I'm telling everyone, take it seriously. You have to take into account your unique medical history. your current medical condition. I urge everybody, research. If you own a telephone, you can do a lot of research on your own phone. Then, in consultation with your doctor, doctors, or other medical professionals, you've got to make the decision. Everybody knows about masks, social distancing, 3 vaccines. I'm not a doctor, Senator. I'm not going to play one on radio and TV. I'm not qualified. Your thoughts?
Well, I think with any serious disease, you have to take it seriously and you have to take reasonable precautions. But in a time of crisis, people's character is revealed. And the character of Democrats, whether it is Joe Biden, whether it is Andrew Cuomo, whether it is Bill de Blasio, whether it is Gavin Newsom, the character from their perspective, they do not respect your liberty. They do not respect your right to make your choices about your health care, about your children, about your lives. My views were very simple. There should be no mandates, zero concerning COVID. That means no mask mandates, regardless of your vaccination status. That means no vaccine mandates. That means no vaccine passports. And I've introduced legislation, a bill to ban vaccine passports. This week I'm introducing a bill to ban vaccine mandates. And this week I'm introducing a bill to end mask mandates. Now, that doesn't mean, as the media likes to characterize, that I'm opposed to vaccines. I actually think vaccines are terrific. I've taken the vaccine. My family's taken the vaccine. But I believe in individual choice, individual responsibility. You can make the choice for your family. These mandates are coming. And as you noted a few minutes ago, talking about Dr. Fauci, what they're talking about is political. It's not tied to the science. One example, Dr. Fauci and the CDC and the Biden administration repeatedly ignores natural immunity. It ignores the immunity of tens of millions of people who've had COVID. That's politically inconvenient, so they pretend it doesn't exist. And you look at schools, you know, what Dr. Fauci, when Hugh Hewitt was asking him about mandating masks in schools, the reason they mandated masks in schools was because the teachers' unions demanded that. It was a political demand. That's why he had no scientific basis for it, because there are no hard data that support that. But there was a political reason. The teachers' union bosses demanded it. And I think this is just abusive. It is dangerous where these government figures believe they have the right to impose rules on you, rules that they don't intend to follow, as all the people partying up at Martha's Vineyard demonstrated.
I support your bill and I support your explanation. Like you, I believe in science. I believe in the science of vaccinations. You really can't deny vaccines like the polio vaccine. Let's start there. Sure. My question is, what do you do with the people that have rare conditions? Or if we're really following the science, I'm sure you agree with me that the Cleveland Clinic is a prestigious medical institution, and their studies show that if you got COVID-19, even if your antibody levels decrease, you still have T-cell antibody immunity. In other words, if you come into contact with COVID again after you've had COVID-19, even the variants, that your body will recognize it immediately and begin to activate its own immune system, the natural immunity process. We're not going to follow the science of the Cleveland Clinic. It's going to be one-size-fits-all medicine. And, oh, by the way, you happen to have a rare disease. You can't get vaccinated, so you're shut out of restaurants, sporting events, movies, living, pretty much.
Well, and that's what's so damning about how these left-wing Democrats have approached this is their exercise of power is arbitrary. It's not driven by the science. It's driven by the momentary politics. And if you have a reason why medically it's a bad idea for you to take the vaccine, well, their view is tough for you. Well, then you lose your job. Then you can't get on an airplane. Then you can't go to school. Then you can't go to a restaurant. Then apparently you're cast into utter darkness. And it would be one thing, look, if we were dealing with the zombie apocalypse where anyone who came near this was dropping dead, you could understand at least why they were proposing some of this stuff. But they know what they're saying is nonsense. The reason Barack Obama's party is so revealing is that when they're alone, the Democrats demonstrate they think all of this is nonsense. They take off their masks and they party like it's 1999. You know, they know this is a crock. In the Senate Democrats who pontificate, when they get in a room, they take their damn masks off. But when the TV cameras turn on, apparently it is only dangerous to be without a mask if a TV camera is pointed at you.
Let me ask you this.
I mean, it is arbitrary power. It's not about science.
Are there any Democrats, any of them, that are supporting your common sense bill?
Zero.
Not one.
And I can tell you a little bit of history. So in the Senate Commerce Committee several weeks back, we had an amendment to end the mask mandate on airplanes because it no longer makes sense based on the science. And we had a vote on it, and it was a party line vote. All the Republicans voted to end it. All the Democrats voted to keep the mandate for flying on airplanes. Now, one of the senators there, Brian Schatz, is a Democrat from Hawaii, and he'd just gotten off, I think, a long flight from Hawaii wearing the stupid mask. He was like, look, I can't stand this mandate. I agree with you. The science doesn't back it up. But I don't want us to tell the federal government what to do. How about we just pass a sense of the Senate that we should end the mask mandate on airplanes? And I'm like, okay, look, I don't know why apparently Congress under the Constitution doesn't have the power to tell the federal government what to do. I thought that was actually what Article 1 was all about, but fine. You want to make it a sense of the Senate? Great. And he suggested to me, he said, Ted, let's do this together. Let's make it bipartisan. So I went and drafted it. And you know what? At the end of the day, he wasn't willing to join because the rest of his caucus, the other Democrats, they crack the whip. And it's a weird thing, Sean. There is a herd mentality among congressional Democrats that they obey Chuck Schumer, and their only answer is, sir, yes, sir. And so we filed the bill. Even it was the weakened sense of the Senate bill because that's what a Democratic senator suggested he might support. And even that, not a single Democrat was willing to support.
Senator, keep fighting. You're fighting hard. You were right also on the infrastructure bill. I mean, why Republicans went along with that scam, I have no idea. It's ridiculous. Thank you for being with us. Also tonight, while Democrats, the mob, the media ignored the single biggest super spreader event, that being at our southern border, well over 1 million illegal immigrants. Well, they're now trying to trash Florida Governor Ron DeSantis pretty much around the clock because he won't force Floridians to wear masks. And by the way, schools, in-person learning has been going on an entire year in the state of Florida. Immediately upon the start of COVID-19, well, Governor DeSantis mobilized every single state agency to protect the elderly population. Quite significant in the state of Florida, and did a great job doing so. And guess what? He didn't send COVID patients into nursing homes to infect people where tens of thousands would die. In reality, they're obviously attacking DeSantis because they believe, well, if Donald Trump doesn't run in 2024, well, he probably will and would likely win a nomination or have a good chance of winning the nomination. Right on cue, you got fake news as CNN's most obnoxious Democrat, the one and only fake news Acosta. He's now calling the Delta variant. He thinks he's so clever. Ha ha, the DeSantis variant. Way to go, Jim. A lot of thought went into that. Wow, you made it funny. Not really.
Can own the libs. They're not owning anybody, but they may end up owning the pandemic because they're prolonging it. Perhaps it's time to start naming these new variants that may be coming out after them. Instead of the Delta variant, why not call it the DeSantis variant? We could sell beer koozies that say, "Don't Florida my Fauci," and use the money to help pay for all of the funerals that'll be coming in the days to come.
When's Jimmy going to talk about the illegal immigrants crossing the border that are not vaccinated with the high rate of COVID positivity? I'm just wondering. Why would I ask such a silly question? Actually doing news over there. Here with reaction, someone who frequently had to encounter the great Jim Acosta, fake news himself. Anyway, former White House press secretary, outnumbered co-host Kayleigh McEnany is back with us. Kayleigh, good to see you. Thanks for being with us. All right, never mind the fact that he doesn't know what he's talking about. Ron DeSantis mobilized every state agency. He didn't do what they did in New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, or in Michigan, which has put COVID in nursing homes where an incalculable number, tens of thousands of older people died. Number two, if I recall, it was your president that you were serving at the time, Donald Trump. He's the one that put the racist, xenophobic, hysterical travel ban in effect 10 days after the first COVID case. He's the one that sent the Navy hospital ships. He's the one that built the hospitals. He's the one that manned the hospitals, provided all the PPE. He's the one that gave us not one, not two, but 3 vaccines and great therapeutics, like Regeneron, which is probably the most underutilized therapeutic in this whole pandemic. So I'm not really sure what Joe Biden has contributed, except, well, he's dispersing a lot of illegal immigrants with a high rate of COVID positivity into the country.
That's exactly right. He has squandered the great hand that President Trump gave him. I was there in the administration. Every day when I'd go to the podium, I'd say, what are we doing on COVID? And it seemed like every day there was a new therapeutic. Regeneron, you named it, record speed vaccine. We gave this to President Biden. He squandered it. He had his real test when this Delta variant came in. And what has he done? He's bungled everything. No one trusts the federal government. They are the greatest purveyor this moment of misinformation. When you look at the mask debacle, President Joe Biden standing up saying, get vaccinated, you can toss the mask. Now they're saying, wear the mask if you're vaccinated. How does this instill confidence? It doesn't. President Trump was right on the science. Schools should be open. Churches should be open. We locked down briefly. We got the therapeutics. We got a vaccine. That has always been the model. We've been consistent. Joe Biden has been over the map.
You know, there's bias by omission. Now, if Donald Trump had wide open borders, we have some estimates as high as 20% of illegal super spreader events still ongoing at our southern border tonight. And the root cause, it's simple. Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, open borders agenda, ending the stay in Mexico policy, stop building the wall, bringing back catch and release and making it even more liberal. It's now process release. Now some border agencies, they're saying the COVID positivity rate among illegal immigrants is as high as 20%. That's 1 in 5. And then, remember, people in the dark of night are dispersed all around the country after living in Joe's overcrowded cages and not getting tested for COVID, and certainly no vaccine mandates. And then, of course, your law-abiding Americans, well, all of you have to show vaccine passports if you want to eat in New York City, in a restaurant, go to a concert, a sporting event, or even basically leave your house. Although the director of the NIH is saying even there you need to wear a mask indoors in front of your children. And by the way, these rules don't apply to COVID-infected illegal immigrants at the border as they waltz across the country in what will be a 25, 30-year record. And it's getting so bad, even the Washington Post editorial board, even them, this says a lot, they're slamming Biden's incoherent border agenda. Here with reaction, he's on the front lines. Arizona Attorney General, now a Senate candidate. He's going up against Mark Kelly. Mark Brnovich is with us, along with Fox News contributor Newt Gingrich. Mr. Speaker, we've been friends for a long time. You've seen a lot of hypocrisy over the years, as have I. You're watching this go on. Mandates, vaccine, mass shutdowns, shut out of, basic living for Americans, but not for illegal immigrants. Maybe you can help me understand it.
Well, I mean, it's not very complicated. First, you need to either have Fauci retire or fire him because what he's doing is totally incoherent and totally political. Second, you need to recognize, and you sort of said it, I mean, it's not complicated, it's just hard to believe. Biden favors illegal immigrants over Americans. They've allowed 210,000 people in July to cross the border illegally. That's the equivalent of the city of Birmingham, Alabama. Of that, the current estimate is that 42,000 were positive for HIV. They haven't told, they're positive for COVID. They haven't told us how many of them have criminal records. They won't tell us where they're going. And I think every citizen who's watching us tonight should say to their congressmen and their senators, you got to demand that Biden tells you how many people are in my town, in my county, in my state, without anybody knowing it. This is the most destructive, anti-American policy. I don't know of any occasion where a president of the United States has chosen to side with illegal immigrants, many of whom have COVID, others of whom have criminal records, against the American citizens. And that's exactly what's going on. And once you understand that, it's not complicated. That's who they are. The American hard left favors illegal immigration. They don't care if they come to us with COVID. They don't care if they come to us as MS-13 gang members. They prefer illegal immigrants to Americans, and they will defend the illegal immigrants against the right of Americans. It's pretty simple. It's just hard to believe.
Mr. Attorney General, now Senate candidate, okay, you know the law. How is it possible? Why do I believe that if I pick and choose which laws I want to obey, that's not going to work out very well for me? Even if you were working in private practice, I doubt you could probably save me from going to jail. However, we have laws. The laws are not only not being enforced, there's the aiding and abetting process, and this is by Joe Biden's administration themselves. How do they get away with that?
Well, they shouldn't. And as you know, Sean, we have 3 active lawsuits in the federal court system right now trying to stop the Biden administration and hold them accountable. As the speaker just alluded to, he talks about the number, the record number, the generational numbers just this past month. But since Mayorkas has been appointed the secretary, 1 million people have illegally been apprehended crossing our southern border. That's like the entire population of Biden's home state of Delaware. So people watching this and listening should make no mistake about it. The Biden administration is intentionally and systematically incentivizing and essentially allowing this border crisis to occur. Now, why they are doing that, I'm not sure Joe Biden knows, but make no mistake about it. His enablers in the U.S. Senate, like Chuck Schumer and Cartel Kelly, are empowering the cartels in Mexico, enriching them, and basically overwhelming our system by not only allowing criminals to come in, but as you alluded to, Sean, the fact that nearly 20% of the people now coming in are COVID positive.
Now, by the way, let me
Americans,
point out, these are not my numbers. This is the Department of Homeland Security. Their documents show that more than 18% of family units crossing the border, 20% of unaccompanied minors are testing positive for COVID. Those are their numbers. So if you got 2 million, and there may be as many as 3 by the time the year's over, crossing the border, 20% infection rate, that's 400,000 new COVID cases, and then every one of those people will be dispersed around the country. That's we're now talking about infecting millions of Americans, sir.
They are endangering our communities, and this crisis will not end until Joe Biden and Cartel Kelly love the children of American taxpayers more than they love the children of people that have entered the country illegally. It's as simple as that, Sean.
Your reaction to that number, based on their numbers, Mr. Speaker?
Look, this is a crisis of the first order. It's a crisis of public health. It's a crisis of public safety. And frankly, it's not going to end until Biden's no longer in office. This is what they are dedicated to. They favor illegal immigrants over Americans. That's a fact. It's obvious every single day. And people like Senator Kelly are a huge part of the problem because they could be doing something to stop it. And they're walking lockstep in favor of illegal immigration and people who have COVID and people who have criminal records coming into their states.
You know, I think I choose the, ever so offensive tweets of Donald Trump, but secure borders over this Adam Schiff show that's happening down there. Thank you both. When we come back, evidence continuing tonight to mount against embattled New York Governor Andrew Cuomo. Now his top aide has resigned, and a previously anonymous accuser tells what is an extremely credible story. We've got the tape. You'll get reaction to that tape with Tammy Bruce, and we'll talk about the law with Greg Jarrett when we return.